And welcome along to another CCSC Victory Wrap Sports Podcast. It's Rick, RJ, Julienne in one of the seats, and
Dale, the coach, Eggleton.
Yes, the dynamic duo ready to unleash another very interesting podcast with another exceptional guest, a lady that's certainly gone all the way in a sport, Olympics, World Cups. Coach, bring us in. Nicole Hackett is our special guest. Tell us about some of her great triumphs as a triathlete.
Yes, RJ, it's five-star triathlete Nicole Barry. Most would know her by her maiden name, Nicole Hackett. For close to a decade, she was one of the world's elite in the sport of triathlon, outstanding at all three disciplines, swimming, cycling and running. In 1997, she won the Junior World Championships in Perth and repeated that achievement in 1998, again winning the Junior World Championships, this time in Switzerland. In 2000, she won the Senior Elite World Championships, again in Perth, and represented Australia in the Sydney Olympics, finishing 9th. In the 2000-2001 season, she was crowned Australian Triathlete of the Year. In 2002, she won a bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games in Manchester. We will learn that she has competed and won all over the world at different distances, over different courses and in different weather conditions. How she overcame sickness, injuries, and came back after having her first baby in this physically and mentally demanding sport. She's in the Central Coast Sporting Hall of Fame, the Central Coast Sport Walk of Fame, and in 2015 was inducted into Triathlon Australia Hall of Fame. So many achievements, but when asked which was her greatest, Nicole doesn't hesitate in saying it's raising her 3 boys. It's with great pleasure, Nick, we welcome you to the Victory Wrap.
Well, thank you. It's such an honour to be here.
It's great to have you. And before we get into the nitty-gritty of your career, let's thank our sponsors, of course, our major sponsor, Central Coast Sports College, and also welcome back to Easy Mix Concrete. Nick, you look at your career, I know you had a very serious look on your face when Dale was rolling them out. It's a fantastic career in any sport, and well done on what you've done. And we're going to track through it about the next 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. It's something that I actually didn't realise I'd achieved all that until I was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015. And when it was being rolled out, my achievements, I'm like, wow, yeah, I did really do that. So I kind of competed just with passion and not taking note of what I had achieved, and I didn't even realise I was that good, to be honest.
Sure.
So.
Nick, tell us about growing up, the family in those infant years, and what other sports you got into as a youngster.
I came from a swimming background. That was really important for my family, that we all learned to swim. We lived across the road from the beach, so that was just a rule in our household. We were to go to the pool and we did squads. We did competition as well. The other thing that we were heavily involved in was surf lifesaving. And once again, because we were living across the road from the beach, it was a skill that my parents thought was important for us to have. And it was more just connecting with community, staying fit. It wasn't about the competition. That was just an extra element to it. Traveling to events like the state titles and things like that, that became like family holidays. So lots of awesome memories there, growing up with swimming carnivals and nipper events. And then I think I was like 14, 15, and there was a local triathlon, and someone suggested that I give it a go. I'd never been on it like a road bike before, but I thought, yeah, that sounds interesting. Used to run just a few times a week, not like I do cross country, school cross country and things like that, but not, and fun runs, but not anything that I was like targeting for. So I kind of, someone lent me a bike and I'd ride to swimming at 4:30 in the morning and then do my squad. Did this triathlon and I was just hooked. Like I was absolutely knackered after it, and I think I had like state swimming event that I'd made the final for down in Sydney. So I did this triathlon in the morning, raced down to Sydney, had a massage, and then jumped in and did, I think it was a 200 metre backstroke final, which my swim coach wasn't thrilled with me doing that.
Okay. So, you know, were you competitive at a young age when you're all in the surf club, Terrigal Surf Club you mentioned off air? So were you competitive at what age did you really start thinking, yeah, I can beat these guys, you know, I'm going to train for something?
It's a good question, and sorry, I should have mentioned earlier. I did start at Wamburrell Surf Club.
All right, give them a mention.
No,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I did start at Wamburrell Surf Club, and I was petrified of big surf.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I moved to Terrigal. And once I moved to Terrigal, and like the surf wasn't pounding me, that's when I think I got a taste of it. Do you know what? I can actually push myself and see what I can go, and I was starting to get results then. But it wasn't until like my mid-teens that I started to do well. I don't think I really knew how to push myself. Like I just loved the personal challenge
Sure.
of going out and racing, but didn't realise what that meant, like when you started to achieve like the adrenaline that you'd get. So I was probably, that 13, 14, probably more 14, 15, that I was starting to get results in surf life saving, and then I kind of jumped to triathlon. And one of the reasons why I jumped was a lot of the events would be like you go to a surf life saving event and you'd be waiting on the beach, and if you didn't hear your event called, you missed it, or we were relegated and they wouldn't have it because they ran out of time. And I was like, I'm training my butt off
for this
and not being able to get the results. And with triathlon, you know what time it's on. Like unless it's storming,
sure,
you're competing. It's in still water, so I didn't have that stress about having big waves. So you just knew exactly when it was going to be. So,
Nick, you said you got hooked on the triathlon straight away as you started it. Did you acquire a coach straight away, or did you just think, I'll put in the training and just enter events and see how I go?
No, I didn't have a coach straight up. We had a few friends that were doing triathlons, and they kind of just advised on what I should be doing. I was swimming competitively, so I was still swimming 5 days a week and just adding some extra events in. And then as I worked through the junior ranks, I acquired a coach locally, and then moved on to a coach down in Sydney.
What was it like, being now told this is your routine, this is what you got to train for? Were you coachable? Did you accept the fact that the coaches with different personalities, some could have been pretty strong and determined and maybe a taskmaster? How did you react to being coached?
I think I was a pretty good athlete in doing what I was told. Like I was at school, so I had the pressures of school and training.
Sure.
And as I guess as I was getting good results, the demands were on me to train more. And that was tough because I already had a really tough schedule anyway. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I wanted to maintain my 5 swims and however many runs I was doing. And so I was adding in these bike sessions and extra run training sessions, and I got to the point where I'm like, okay, we really need to work out where my focus is going to be.
Sure.
So like it wasn't easy, and I think I had a coach that was quite pushy and sometimes disappointed in my effort, and I'd be like, I gave it everything. I had nothing else to give.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's when I moved to a coach to Sydney who accepted that schooling was part of life, and having that balance was really important. And bringing my training back to a level where I wasn't feeling so overwhelmed.
Sure.
Well, Nick, it sounds like that was a good decision, because in 1997, you're at the World Championships in Perth. Tell us what the feeling, the emotional feeling to start that event, because you certainly performed in it, winning your first World Championship.
Yeah, it was really, really special, that 1997 World Championship. So I split Year 12 over 2 years, so I could, because I was doing quite a bit of travelling for triathlon. There was a junior squad that was selected to go overseas, and I wasn't selected.
Okay.
And I was gutted. I was so devastated. So I was back in Australia training with Worlds in mind. Anyway, I had no idea that I was going to win Worlds. Like, I had no idea what the other girls were doing. I knew they were overseas getting race practice, and they were training their butts off. And I was still doing school part-time and training. Anyway, so I went over and I just did what? I just go hard from the start. So, and I won it. Like, it blew my mind. I had no idea. So it was something I was so proud of, because I wasn't selected in the junior team. Yeah, I came out and beat all those girls. Yeah.
So. Did you think no one had paid you a lot of attention? Did you go in as a bit of a dark horse, even though you've obviously qualified for it and you won it? You beat all these girls that were overseas training. So was that a big advantage for you, going in sort of a bit of almost like an unknown?
I think that's always an advantage, going in as a dark horse. People not really expecting anything from you. I always like racing that way. Yeah, I think the girls kind of had like a team coach and knew each other and what to expect from each other, and I guess they didn't realise what I had been doing back at home. How'd
they react when you won, the other girls?
Like, there were girls that I'd known through the triathlon schools program. So I don't think they'll probably disappointed in their own results, but there was no hard feelings towards me for beating them. Like, it was just something that you just were stoked for each other.
Nick, it certainly must have boosted your confidence. And those that have been to Perth, you know, you swim and then the cycle and run are in the Kings Park area, which sits above Perth. Demanding course, but something that you must have been satisfied and used to, because it suited your style of racing.
Yeah, it was a really tough course, and I was actually doing a lot of bike rides through just locally here at Gosford, like through
Man Street will do.
Man Street, Gosford, no, because that's flat. Through the mountains, Old Pacific Highway. Yeah. So I was doing hill repeats up there. Like, I was doing a lot of hill riding to kind of get me ready for that event. I think the run was actually flat at Worlds that year, so the bike was hilly, the run was flat, so we kind of just focused, I guess because I wasn't doing any other racing, I could just focus on that event, and that got me ready.
All right, we moved to 1998, it's back on again, the Junior Triathlon Championships. You're a previous winner, so instead of being the hunter, you're now the hunted defending champion. How was your mindset going into defending your title? How were you?
Good question.
We like to throw a couple in every now and then.
My memory of that experience was I'd been living and training in France, the south of France, in Montpellier. So I kind of branched out, and I was overseas, and I was doing a couple of local races in France and doing a few ITU races in Europe as well. Anyway, I was living my best life in France. I was eating pastries and missing training sessions. Anyway, I got picked up from, I think it was a train station when I got to Switzerland, and the coach looked at me and he's gone, well, we've got a bit of work to do, don't we?
Okay. Thanks, coach.
And I'm like, he's like, you've put on a bit of weight, haven't you? So I was kind of like, oh my goodness. So I kind of didn't go into that race with any expectations, because I was a little bit overweight, and I only had a couple of weeks to kind of get myself ready. So, and I think all expectations were taken off me because of the state I came into camp. So that was a bit of a learning curve, but once again, I just go hard.
Yeah, paid off.
Yeah.
Paid off.
Yeah. So, and that again was another really tough course. So that just suits me, having, like, I was strong. So I might have been a little bit overweight, but I was strong.
Power at home.
Tell the coach that when you got back. It is a beautiful place, Switzerland, and as you mentioned, the course must have suited you as well. 1999, your first year in seniors. How did that feel? And as RJ mentioned before, what was the feeling amongst the other athletes? Because at that time, Australian triathletes were the world's best?
We had the best in the world, top 6, I think. We're going 1 to 6. I did crack into the senior world team, which I was stoked about, but I blew it. I once again went to Europe, to France, and I thought I'd do the same thing as what I did the year before. It fell apart. I wasn't doing the training that I needed to do and made the decision to come home. So I came back home like 2 months before Worlds, which was in Canada. And then I flew back over to Canada to get ready for Worlds. So it was a really disrupted training period, break up with a boyfriend. I was missing a lot of training. And then I kind of went into this event overwhelmed. Like, we had the best, and I was just hanging on to that. I gave it my best, but I had a really bad race, and that was a turning point for me. I was so disappointed. So the girls went 1 to 5, and I don't even know where I finished. It was like 30th or something like that, and I was disappointed in myself.
Sure.
But it was a learning curve. And it was that race that went, okay, there's no missing sessions. It's eating well. It's doing all those little things you need to do to be the best. And that was my turning point. So I guess having that bad race, that bad experience was a bit of a kick up the butt. Okay, if you want to take this seriously, put your finger out, do your training, get your massages and physio and eat well and get your nutrition right. It was a step up. And so I did take it to that next level then. And
you certainly did, and we're going to find out about that in just a minute. But sports fans, got to give a massive shout out to our major sponsor, Central Coast Sports College, CCSC. If you're a parent of a young, aspiring athlete on the coast, or if you are that athlete, you need to hear this. CCSC is not your average school. It's the only school in New South Wales with a full-time, fully integrated sports program every single day. Now, they're all about helping young athletes pursue their sporting dreams without sacrificing their education and developing the whole person both on and off the field. And as those student athletes move into senior high, CCSC takes it a step further with real-world learning, internships and experiences to help them figure out their future. So if you're looking for a school where young athletes truly take responsibility for their learning and their sporting aspirations, check out CCSC, Central Coast Sports College. You can find out more at their website, ccsc.nsw.edu.au. Give your child the best of both worlds.
Nick, we mentioned how Australians were dominating at that time. It was also a good time because there was prize money available. There was a lot of series, and that suited you as well because the Formula One series, different distances. You know, there's the sprint and there's the Olympic distance, but you seem to be able to adjust to both.
Yeah, I think I came into triathlon at the right time. We had this series that was happening all around Australia that I was invited to. I think I was quite young when I first started in that. And it was being televised and there was sponsorship. I came into it in a really good time. Like as I said, it was being televised, there was money. And I was working my way up and I was kind of getting closer to those top girls. It was sprint distance, which suited me. It was like short, fast training. So I kind of based a lot of my training around that. And then as the season progressed, would up my training to suit the Olympic distance. And just the way my body works, like, I had to really be mindful of the way I trained. I listened to the way the other girls train. I'm like, oh my God, they do so much more than me. But my training was so much more intense.
Winning that Formula One series means that there would have been, I guess, a cash prize, a trophy. What do you remember what you received for winning that first series? Was it like, wow, hey, I got some money for competing?
Each race had prize money. And I think the series before me, there was a car up for grabs for the winner.
Right.
And then the series I won, there was no car. That just seemed to be the way
maybe a push bike.
Things worked for me.
Okay.
I'd miss all those big...
Yes.
But that's fine. I think I think the prize money might have been bigger for individual races throughout the season. But it was every series that I won that.
No cars.
There was no cars.
Okay.
So Nick, second year in the seniors, it's back in Perth again for the World Championships as an elite athlete. As a senior, you win it again. Tell us how that felt.
That was pretty special. It's a tough one, that one. So as everyone knows, the run course was short. Every athlete ran the same course. But there was lots of controversy around that. I was injured going into that race, as a lot of the top girls were, and they were dropping like flies, like going in. And I knew it was something that I could get through the race. I wasn't sure how I was going to pull up afterwards. So I did the race. I won. I couldn't believe it. And then one of the athletes actually came up to me and said something to me, and I'm like, that's really, like, it threw me. I was like, I don't even know what she's talking about. So everyone had got wind that the run course was short, and I hadn't been told. So there was a bit of controversy there, which was a little bit disappointing. So they kind of went back to statistics, and the lady that got second, she was from Canada, and she was running me down, and they said to her, do you think you would have caught her? And she said no.
Right.
And that was what gave me the World Championships. She said no, I was running her down, but it got to a point where I had nothing left, and I wasn't going to catch up. So I was crowned world champion.
How'd that feel? World champion, that's the biggest thing in your sport. You must have gone home feeling, wow, how good am I? You know, did you feel elated about that?
I don't think I ever went, how good am I?
Did you have a trophy that you took home, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I did actually. It was a really nice trophy. It's it was a world ball on a frame.
Right.
So it was
not shaped like a car or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No, it was a beautiful trophy. Bittersweet. Yeah, so I was kind of hoping 2001 I could prove I can win a world title, full distance, no controversy. That didn't quite happen. So it was a wet course. I was out in the lead pack with a couple of the girls, and it was my turn on front, and I was hammering. Anyway, we got up this hill, going across the bridge, and making a left-hand turn to come down the hill, and there was a metal grate, and I fell. I slipped on that.
Wow, okay.
Face planted. My glasses were stuck in my face. So I never finished that race.
Wow. Okay.
So that was devastating. So I didn't really ever back up my world titles from 2000. I was in very good form. I don't know whether I would have won it, but I was definitely in contention.
Sure.
Well, Nick, we talk about that controversy of 2000. That lingered because that was the year of the Olympics, Sydney Olympics, where you should have been excited leading into it, but it wasn't the case. Tell us about that lead up, how draining that was for you before getting to the starting line.
It was really tough. So going back to injury, as I said, I was injured before. So 2 weeks before the World Champs, there was a race in Sydney, which was another qualifier, and a girl in front of me crashed, and I fell over the top of her. I crashed in that race. I think I was the second Aussie across the line, but I think you had to finish, I don't know, top 3 to be considered for a place on the Olympic team. So I just missed out on getting my spot in that race. And I think I landed on my knee, like hip and knee. Anyway, going into Worlds, it was only like a few days before the event, and we were out for a training run. I'm like, my knee's really sore. And we stopped running and just did what we needed to get to the race line. Anyway, I ended up having a stress fracture. So post world titles, there was all that controversy about the course being short and me getting my spot on the team, and it had gone to court, and it cost us a bomb to fight my position.
Right.
It did come down to statistics, so it wasn't just statistics of that world title. They looked at all the ITU World Cup races and compared the person that was fighting my position, compared our race results, and at the end of the day, statistics were in favour for me, and that's how I held on to my position. But it was months and months of going backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
So I was dealing with injury and I was dealing with a court case.
Yeah. Certainly not ideal preparation getting ready for it, was it?
No.
And, yeah.
Not for, like, it was Sydney. We were the first event. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of hype around it. I guess I was being treated like I was part of the team and being invited to different things. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I really the right person here? So I had a lot of doubt on whether I should have even been on the team, whether I was going to be informed for the event. So yeah, it was a bittersweet time.
Before that, when you were named in the, you remember where you were when you were named in the triathlon team for the Olympics, and who made the announcement? Who? Someone ring you? You were at home somewhere? You know, take us back to that moment where Nicole Hackett, you're in the Australian team for the triathlon for the Olympics. You remember it?
I have never thought about it, but yeah, there was a phone call. And I have no idea of who rang me, or I've got no idea.
Okay. You would have been over the moon.
I was ecstatic, but
yeah.
But I guess just getting that confirmation that you are part of the team was very special, and then going down and getting new uniforms and measured up for uniforms, and yeah, that was amazing.
Well, Nick, timing's not always the greatest for us in situations in life, but what you've been through to get to the starting line, the Sydney Olympics, you're determined to do well. You're representing your country. Talk us through that race, the course, and how you felt through it, through the swim, the cycling and run. As we mentioned, finishing ninth was a stage there where you thought everything's on track.
I went into that race like every other race. There was a race plan, but obviously those race plans don't always go to plan. I'd spoken with Loretta, who was my swim bike partner, and so we had that plan to go out hard in the swim, try and do what we'd done in previous races, get a bit of a lead on the bike, so we had a bit of time on the run, because my run wasn't like a lot of the other girls, so we needed a few minutes on them. I don't know, I dived into the water and I felt like I was swimming upstream. I was in a pack, which was never, normally my race is, when the gun goes, my race is to that first can, and I don't want to be in that bunch getting belted, and I could not get out of it. So it started off tough. It wasn't going to plan. There was a big group of us. I think all three Aussie girls came out of the water together. Yep. There's a great photo of all three of us in transition, getting on our bikes. It's an awesome photo, but not the way my race plan was meant to go. So that kind of, we just then obviously jumped on the bike and rode with a few girls, taking turns. The atmosphere was amazing. Being in your hometown, there was so many coasties up, cheering. It was deafening. Yeah. It was next level. Never experienced anything like it, and I will never experience anything like it again. So that side of it was the best, just having that much support out on the course, but then also trying to stay focused on what you're trying to achieve. So normally I would race, swim, bike, and just go give it everything. I'd have nothing left for the run. And I always broke my races up from the start. As I said, my race was to that first can, and then from that first can to the second can, and then as I'm coming in, I'd be thinking about the transition and getting out as quick as I could, and then on that bike. And working out who was with us and working together as a team, and then just to get off and run. And just whatever you had left is what you had left. So it became a little bit different in the Sydney Olympics. So there was a bigger group. We weren't working as hard, so it did come down to the run. I got off in a good position, but I had to run hard, and 9th was where I finished. So I gave it everything. It was just different. It was a different race plan to what we had in mind and the way I would have liked the race to go. As I said, like, atmosphere was incredible. It just wasn't my day.
When you were getting ready for the race and you got the 3 Aussie girls and you coached, did you have did the coach say, "Now I want you to run first, you to run second, you to run third," or was it just all go out, do your best, work as a team, and get the best results you can for Australia? Was there any preconceived result that the coach had in mind for you and the other 2 girls? Obviously to win it. But
it was always expected that us Aussies would go 1, 2, 3, and we could have easily on any one day we could have easily gone 1, 2, 3, and that would have been amazing to set Sydney Olympics up with the first gold, silver, bronze.
Sure,
would have been unbelievable. It didn't happen that way.
No cars this time.
No cars, and yes, we got gold, silver, 5th and 9th, so the 3 of us finished top 10, which I think is pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing, yeah.
Certainly is.
Like they say, the Olympics brings out a different level of athletes. So even though you're competing with the same athletes all year, the Olympics changes things.
Yeah, sure.
Well, Nick, tell us about it. We speak about how physically demanding the sport is, but it's also emotionally and mentally. How were you after that for the rest of that year in getting yourself right to still continue as a triathlete?
I guess there's a real downside after the Olympics. There's so much hype going into the Olympics, especially when you don't achieve the result that you want. So I was flat for a long time and had to work out whether I was going to throw it away or whether I was going to redirect my energy and train a little bit differently just to spice things up. So I had a bit of time off and then slowly got back into it and felt I had a bit of passion left. And so I kind of went with the passion and went, no, this is what you enjoy doing. You're going to give it another crack. Comm Games was coming up, and so that was my focus, was to get ready for the Comm Games. So I had a slow year. So I think it was September 2000. So I kind of took my time and just focused on the Formula One series, which was that short racing. So I didn't really do any long stuff. I just focused on the shorter stuff and enjoyed racing those races. And then towards the end of, I think, 2001, went, no, you need to kick it up a level, and if you're going to make Comm Games, you need to put your finger out and start doing things a bit tougher.
There's a lot of finger pulling out going on.
Yes, there is.
And we're going to find out more about that and the Comm Games in just a second. But if you need quality concrete for your next project, look no further than Easy Mix Concrete, your local family-owned concrete supplier right here on the Central Coast. Whether it's a driveway, shed, pool, or any job, big or small, Easy Mix Concrete has you covered. With reliable pre-mixed concrete, expert technical advice, and a great range of decorative finishes, Easy Mix brings your project to life, and their prices are very affordable. Proudly serving the Central Coast for over 16 years. When you choose Easy Mix, you're supporting the local economy. Give them a call, 43884989. We'll see more at easymixconcrete.com.au.
Nick, we talk about, we're learning about there's so much goes into it. It's not just on the day. How important has your husband Kieran been as your coach in what you've achieved?
So important. I think I mentioned earlier that I didn't have any confidence in myself. I didn't realise that I was a great athlete. He was the one that sat down with me, I think it was in 1998, and we put a plan in place, and I'd written what I wanted to achieve in the next, I think, 2 years, and I didn't put Olympics on there. And he's like, called me in and he's like, you haven't got Olympics down. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm good enough to go there. And he's like, we're putting Olympics down on your list. So I actually ticked everything off that list that year. Huge support. He had so much faith in me, even when I didn't have it in myself. When I wanted to do what every other athlete was doing and traveling the world to race, he's like, no, you're focusing on these races. Like, he just knew that my body wouldn't hold up. And so we picked out the races that I really wanted to do well in. And like, I guess, kept me accountable for those races. I wouldn't have done as well as I did if I did what I wanted to do and just race back-to-back weekends. My body just wouldn't have held up doing that. So yeah, he was he was very calm in everything, in the way he approached things, and level-headed, and never pushed me too hard.
Tell us about how it became from coach to athlete to coach to husband. When did things start moving in that direction? You know, you've obviously felt a lot of affection for him, vice versa. You're now married, you've been married for a long time. So when did things start developing in that life situation, away from the track?
I hate that question. Anyway.
Okay. No holes barred here, Nick. Come on, let's go.
And it's quite funny because I think it was like 15 or 16 when I first started training with Kieran, and pure coach-athlete relationship for years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, like, I guess 99, 2000, where it became more of a friendship, and that friendship strengthened. And that's when it kind of started to transition into more a relationship, personal relationship. And obviously I had to think about things quite
differently,
or seriously as well, because if that fell apart, then my triathlon career, I was like, oh my God, like, where's that going to go if we have a big blow up? And like, I'm not just losing my partner, I'm losing my coach as well. So we just had formed such a strong friendship, and that's where that grew from. So there was no earlier days. There was nothing there. Like it just seriously
developed.
grew.
It was all because he put Sydney Olympics 2000.
Yeah, on that bit.
That's what it was. That's right. Thanks, Kieran.
Well, let's talk. You regained that passion for the sport, and your goal was the Commonwealth Games. Tell us about it in Manchester. What were the conditions like over there, and how that race panned out for you?
I was in Manchester. It was drizzly and cold, and not my favourite conditions to race in. There was a big race called the Goodwill Games just before Manchester, and they were wet conditions as well. So since the 2001 World Championships, I'd done 2 big races in the wet, and I pooped my pants. I was hysterical on the start line about racing in these conditions, not wanting to crash again. Like, it had a big impact on me, and it knocked my confidence big time. So I got through Goodwill Games, and then I qualified for Manchester, and it was cobblestone. The course, bike course, was cobblestones. It was raining. It was freezing, and I was just sobbing my heart out. I can't do this. And this is like seriously on the start line. I'm looking over at all the girls, and it's pouring, and I'm like, oh my goodness, just grow up, put your girl pants on, get in there, doing lots of self-talk.
That's right, yes, you can do it.
Yeah. So I got through the bike, stressed as, but didn't fall off, and just came down to the run.
All right, now you mentioned in all your races, the swim is the one that really sets you up. So what was it like swimming in a river in Manchester, England?
It was cold. It was very cold. It's funny because there's so much media around, like when we have big events like Olympics and Com Games, about water quality. I don't think it's ever something that I try not to take on any of the things you can't control.
Sure.
And so if it was bad water quality, it's bad water quality. you just got in and you did what you were there to do. So not much thought went into it. It was like the only thought that goes into like the swim is whether you're going to wear a wetsuit or not, depending on water temperature.
Sure.
Obviously, big advantages in wearing a wetsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Would always prefer a non-wetsuit swim because I feel like the poorer swimmers do better in a wetsuit. And then there's also the time in getting the wetsuit off, which can be quite stressful. So yeah, apart from it being cold, there was no thought that went into that. I was more focused on just getting through 40 Ks on the bike, in the wet, on cobblestones.
Well, Nick, tell us about, we're learning so much about, you know, the importance of all the three, the swim, the cycle and the run. Tell us how important in a race the transition period is, you know, coming out of the swim, how important it is to get into that rhythm on the bike, and then same from the bike, that rhythm, that transition into the run.
That's a good question, and it's one I do like. That is something that we spend a lot of time on, is transition work, which I don't know if many athletes do. It can save you so much time if you nail that. Yeah, I just think it's so important. Like, it's such a small part of the race, but can make such a big difference to your race. And I think with my training, I didn't do the same kind of training as the girls, but I focused on those little things that would give me the edge. So we all can go swim, bike, run, but if you've got a quick transition, you're going to have an edge over your opponent. And so we did spend a lot of time working on that, and I think I was one of the fastest ones in transition, and you had to be for that Formula One series. Like, there was a Formula One series where it was they had a pool, so it was pool swimming, which was right up my alley.
Yep.
But the amount of sessions I spent practicing tumble turns and dive starts, not worrying about getting the kilometres in, but being quick off the mark, getting those tumble turns right, like, that's what won me that series. It's those small little things that I think get missed and are super important to just giving you that edge over another athlete.
All right, you're competing at the Commonwealth Games in the triathlon. Was there a stage you're thinking, okay, I'm doing pretty well here, I'm looking at maybe a podium finish, which you got third, so take us through the last stage of the race where you're in contention for a medal, and obviously you're running, your whole performance has been great, and you're looking at a podium finish. How do you feel?
Nervous, I think. Really wanting to get that podium finish. So I had this mantra for the run, so your mind doesn't go to negatives. I can't do this. It was the 3 T's: tall, toes, turnover. And that was my mantra to get me through the run. And if I focused on those 3 things, then I wasn't thinking about the girls coming up behind me or anything else that was going on. It was just staying in the moment and focusing on what I could do. So that's exactly what it was, just staying focused and not letting negativity set in as the body fatigues, and that's the hardest thing. So we came up with that mantra, I think it was Sydney, Perth Worlds, so I kind of hung on to that.
It worked.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, your mindset's obviously different after getting a medal around your neck from the Com Games, because you finished 2002 with great results, you know, in Japan, Mexico, and back here in Australia in the sprint series. You go into 2003 and you're doing well again. You're starting the year, you find out you're pregnant. So how did that, you have to reassess what you want to do then? Obviously, you know, having a family is so important, but I suppose you have to change your mindset, what you want to achieve then.
Yeah, I was in a funny period there. I was kind of like, where do I want to go? I didn't want to be an old mum. I always want to be a young mum. I was kind of looking at a lot of triathletes that kind of pushed their careers to the end and didn't end up having kids. And I didn't want to be that athlete. So it was a decision I made. But I always thought I would come back. I'd have a baby and I'd come back. Anyway, I raced until I was 12 weeks pregnant. Pulled out of a couple of races because of heat and obviously not wanting to get body temperature too hot. But went and did them. Had 6 months, 7 months off. I did my first race when Joel was 10 weeks old, and I just don't like. It's such a reality check having a baby. Like, you've achieved everything you've achieved in triathlon, and then you have a baby and you're like, I'm just like everyone else.
That's fun.
Like, there's nothing special about me. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. So it was a good reality check. Like, and as I said, I never thought I was a cocky, thought I was too good, amazing athlete, but having a child really brought me back down a notch. I really struggled through that. And obviously things didn't go to plan. I would have loved to have got to 2004 Olympics. My timing with having my first child was off.
Kieran, what happened?
I actually miscarried the first.
Oh, right.
And
okay.
if I'd gone through with that one, I think the timing would have been better. But anyway, I fell pregnant quite quickly after that. So always a blessing having a child, and so blessed. But a few things happened that kind of just didn't go in my favour. And I missed out on 2004 Olympics, which I was just devastated about. I just thought going to a second Olympics when you've already been, and knowing that the big hoo-ha that goes into Olympics, it's just you racing the same girls. Like, I think I could have done quite well there, but I didn't get there, and that's fine. So that was a tough period, but one that I had to accept because of the decisions I had made.
I was going to ask you, when you realise that there's no more running or competing at the top level, how did you feel that in your mind that that's it? I've got the baby and I've got more, going to have more on the way, which is fantastic. But, did you adapt to the fact that you weren't competing and training anymore, or did you keep the training up just to keep fit?
It's a really tricky time. So I think there's always an element of needing to feel fit.
Yeah.
And I struggled. I really struggled with transitioning from being an athlete to being a mum. I think I dabbled in triathlon just to kind of keep ticking over until I could work out what I was going to do and how it was going to work and things like that. But it's a really tough transition, and it's not one that you get over quickly. Like, I think it was probably after my third child, I probably let it go, and I'm never coming back. That's gone. That's done.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Nick, that's something you have to deal with as well. But it's also throughout your career, you had Ross River fever, a sickness that is hard to come back from, and the injuries. You had a shoulder injury. You told us about the bike accident. How are they to overcome, both physically and emotionally?
So both those things happened after I had Joel. So that was I'd gone to a club race, and I was exhausted. And on my way there, I'm like, what am I doing? Too tired to be doing this. Anyway, I got halfway through the cycle race, and I'm not doing this, and went to pull out, and I'm like, being an athlete, no, you're not. Got up out of the saddle to get back into the cycle group, and someone was down in front of me, and I just went over the handlebars and broke my collarbone. So Joel was only very young when I broke my collarbone, and I had to get that pinned, and then the pin removed, and then it refractured, and that was a good 6-month saga. It was a nightmare. And then I ended up with Ross River, just hanging out with Joel in the sandpit in our own yard, and I got a bite on my lower back. And someone said to me, what's that on your back? It's all black. I never really took any notice of it. But it was like a good couple of months of trying to get a diagnosis and being told you're just depressed. Like, I think it was after missing out on qualifying for Athens, and they're like, you're just depressed. You've got a baby. You didn't make the Olympics. You're just depressed. And I'm like, I'm not depressed, and I'm not taking antidepressants because I know there's more to this. And like, I've never felt anything like it. The fatigue was next level. Anyway, kind of just kept pushing to get some bloods. And as I'm walking out of the doctor's, she's like, I'm just going to add on Ross River. Anyway, she rang me a week later. She goes, no, you've actually got Ross River virus. I'm like, okay, so I'm not going crazy. I'm not depressed. I've actually got something that wipes you big time. Like my lower back where I got bitten was just so painful. And like getting up off the lounge, like the fatigue was next level. And it's like I got back into racing after that, but I'd describe it as I'd have days where I felt amazing, and then out of the blue it'd feel like someone left the fuel cap off and your fuel had just leaked. You'd be going along, great guns, and then all of a sudden you had nothing. And I'm like, this is just crazy. Like I'm never going to be able to race the way I used to race, because I used to just go hell for leather. And there was no racing like that anymore. And I think that was my turning point where I can't race like that. I'm in it and I want to give it everything, and I can't stand the thought of going into a race and not being able to finish. That wasn't until I fell pregnant with Joel. It didn't matter where I was in the field, I was finishing that race. And I didn't like that. That's what my racing had come to, where there was races where I'd be going great guns and then all of a sudden I had nothing, and I'd be pulling out of a race. So,
take us through the actual triathlon, the physicality. You've got everyone's out there to win. Your bike ride, you swim. You had to mention that bunch of swimmers that you're trying to avoid. The run, you sort of start separating, but the bike ride seems like it's the one where it's probably the most physical in terms of interaction, bumping into or trying to get past people. Take us through that stage of, the big ones, the physicality, and everyone's trying to beat everybody else.
Something that I try to avoid is being in a big pack on the bike. And if I could break away, that's what I tried to do. I never wanted to be a part of that argy-bargy in a pack. And it becomes a very selfish way of racing, because everyone wants to save themselves for the run. I don't like racing like that. I want to go out hard. I want to finish that race knowing I had nothing left. And I found that when you sat back and raced in a big pack, it just came down to the run, and I didn't come across the finish line satisfied. Even if I won it, I was not satisfied because of the effort that was put into it. And one of my, I'm going off track a little bit, but one of my best races was, I think it was a sprint distance race down in Canberra. It was a peace triathlon, and I was racing the big girls, and I was quite young, still could have gone in the juniors, and I finished 5th. But it wasn't about the result, it was about the effort that went into that and not giving up when things got tough. And that was the way I raced. So I would avoid the big packs. I just wanted to go out and just push limits, and I wanted the girls to hurt as well.
Catch me. Try and catch me.
Nick, you look at your times you achieved, and you're so close. And every course is different. Every conditions is different. Is it something you sat down with Kieran and said, this is our strategy, how we're going about it? Because your times, no matter what the distances are, seem to be very close over the years.
We always had a strategy. But as I mentioned earlier, that often changed. And I think that was one of my strengths, was the ability to change depending on the course and what was happening in the event. But it's a tough one. I think that's why they hated interviewing me after races, and they're like, so what did you do? I'm like, I went hard. I raced hard, and that's just the way I was. There's no secret. It's just I went really hard, and I'd break my races down. So that was like a tactic I had.
A huge moment for you. I mean, Hall of Fame's in any sport's a great acknowledgement of what you've achieved. In 2015, you were inducted into the Australian Triathlon Hall of Fame, which probably meant you had to get up on stage and talk. Was that the case? Or, did you go, was there a big dinner involved with this? Tell us about that.
There was a big dinner.
Right. You had to get up on stage?
I did have to get up on stage. I made an interview rather than just getting up and giving a talk. I just don't do well with this kind of stuff. Talking in general, something that I think as I get older, I'd like to master.
Right. Well, you're mastering it here.
You're doing well.
You're doing well here, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing well.
And I just get so nervous. So what an honour to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But oh my goodness, I was so nervous about getting up on stage. The whole family was invited. My eldest son came. The other two decided to stay back with grandparents. But yeah, such an honour. And yes, I did have to get up and answer some questions, which I hate talking about myself.
That's why I brought this up. You see.
Yeah, and it wasn't until like that moment that I kind of looked back on what I'd achieved and went, "Wow, I have achieved a lot."
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Nick, a question I like to ask our guests, and I'm sort of guessing it, I might know the answer to this, is go hard. But what is the best piece of advice you received during your time that you'd pass on to youngsters now?
Run your own race. Don't worry about what another athlete's doing. Don't focus on things that you can't change. There's so many athletes that get caught up in what they think other athletes are doing and that they're not doing. On the start line, worrying about the water temperature or big waves or whatever, rather than just focusing on what they need to do to get through that race. And the moment you can break it down into small steps, the better off you're going to be. I think it's so overwhelming going into an event, going, oh my God, I've got to do a 1.5K swim, 40K bike, and then I'll finish off in a 10K run, and I've got transition, and I've got to get a wetsuit. Like, if you start letting your mind race like that, you're not going to race well. So I think my biggest advice to anyone wanting to move forward in their careers is break down your event.
Yeah. Just before we go, was there a great rival for Nikki Hackett in triathlons? Was there another girl that, was such a good competitor, you were out there to beat her, vice versa? Was there a great rival in your, your peak times, your peak years?
I think Loretta Harrop was my biggest rival, like towards my peak time.
Sure.
Yeah, she ended up getting a medal at Athens Olympics. So we were great rivals, but we're good friends as well.
Sure, good.
But all those girls, like they were very competitive and they wanted to win at
all
any
cost. Any cost, yes,
yeah.
That's right.
As I wasn't an athlete like that. I didn't want to win at all costs. I wanted to win because I deserved to win.
Sure.
And that I put the effort in, and a clean racer. So.
Nick, you've achieved so much as an athlete and in life. You today have a conversation with a 17, 18-year-old Nicole Hackett. What do you say?
Have confidence. Just believe in yourself. That's something that I lacked. And I wish I had a little bit more of that back then. I think I could have taken my career to another level if I had a bit more confidence in myself. That would be it. Like I know I learnt to train hard. I know I gave it everything, but I lacked confidence.
Well, it certainly didn't hold you back in many aspects, Nikki, and it's been great to have you as part of our sports podcast. Congratulations on a fantastic career. And of course, I think you said another great achievement and thing in life is being a mum with all the boys you've got. So fantastic to have had you on. I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy your story and your life in sport and life.
Thanks for having me.
Nick, you've had a great family growing up and you've now got a great family. We as Central Coast people are so proud of you, and we wrap our arms around you in what you've had to experience with your family as well.
Oh, thank you. It's been such a pleasure coming and having a chat with you guys. And yeah, we've been through a lot, but without community help, we wouldn't have gone through what we've been through.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel better now it's over?
Yes.
All right, our sports
there's some
podcast.
things that need to come out.
That was great.
Our sports podcast. We thank our major sponsor, Central Coast Sports College, and also thanks to Paul and the gang at Easy Mix Concrete. And another one coming up soon, so stay tuned to the Victory Rap Sports Podcast. That's all right.